You're described as being fiercely advocate for people with mental illness and addiction for the past 20 years. What were some of your biggest obstacles you faced in your early days in establishing Holding the Hope, and how did you overcome them?
Again, it's two different things. Um, so the biggest obstacles that I had when creating Holding the Hope were internal. Always, always. Whenever, um, so when I so here's this is real. When I first started doing Holding the Hope, it was just me trying to pay my mortgage. It wasn't like I was, um, like I had this big vision. I mean, I did. I had my values, I had my vision, and I had my rage, which really drove me into thinking, this got to be different. I'm going to do this my way. Plus, I got fired repeatedly from other jobs. So so I was like, well, I'll start my own company. And I did start this company, and I got contracts right away that kept me going. But then I kind of started to create. So what I did was I created a catalog of trainings that didn't exist that I would like to present. I created a catalog of trainings that were topics that I thought were relevant, that I thought people would want, that I felt what the system needed. What I quickly realized is that what the system needed and what they wanted were two very different things.
Right, which is usually what happens.
Right. So I knew what they needed, but they didn't think they needed that, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to kind of be able to still be true to who I was. And this is about recovery. And the people who got recovery principles and embraced those principles, believed in recovery, and wanted their system to be a recovery-based system, hired me. And that was awesome. And so I would do some consulting, I'd do some training, and then I also got some really lucky breaks where I got a training with, I got a contract with the Youth Suicide Prevention Program, and I worked with the Youth Suicide Prevention Program for 11 years during the school year, and then I would contract with the state of Washington during the summers to do recovery training around the state. For years we did that, and it just worked out perfectly for me from a business perspective. The barriers were people see you a certain way. Like, I know what I'm capable of. I know I have multiple things I can do. But if somebody only sees you one way, then they're not gonna consider you for something else. So you have to be really loud and persistent and say, hey, I can do that. Wait, I can do that too. How come I can't do that? And so that was that. But the other thing is, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think you deserve to be here, if you don't think you deserve to have things, if you think you're broken and that your only option is survival, that is going to be reflected in the work that you create. Businesses are a reflection of the leadership or the owner. So as a business person, what I discovered was that being in business for myself was probably the next to getting sober, the most intense personal development exercise I've ever had. And it continues to be. I continue to find areas where I'm lax, and as a result of my inactivity or absence, things are happening that I didn't intend to happen, or things get dropped through the gaps because I'm not paying attention, or because of something that I have not quite figured out how to do yet. So as a business owner, you're constantly challenged to step up and to step up to the next level and the next level and the next level, which I love. I just love, because there's a little part of me that says, you're not good enough. Well, I'm going to work really hard at getting better. Business provides me that opportunity. So I really was surprised at how much I loved being an entrepreneur. I think that entrepreneurial pursuits are awesome. And the more I do it, the more excited I get, because there's always more, right? You're never done. When you're an entrepreneur, when you're in business for yourself, you are never done. And I love that. So the barriers were other people's view of me. And I just had to kind of ignore that and do what I wanted. And some people, they want to pigeonhole you over here, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. So that, I mean, and fear can be a huge barrier when you're in business for yourself, because it's scary when you're. I remember saying to my sister early in my going into business for myself, I said, I just realized today that I am 100% responsible for my life. Like every area of my life, like work, insurance, house, bills, like as a single person, also 100% of everything in my life is on me. And she said to me, that's why I hide behind the skirts of corporate America. I'm like, I get it, right? I get it. But I was never successful there. I couldn't fit in. Like I say, I used to work for lawyers. Every single lawyer I worked for fired me. I worked for then I kind of got into the nonprofit world, and that worked way better for me. So they're a little bit more forgiving in the nonprofit world, especially in the mental health arena. So the barriers were internal. The barriers were external. The other thing that is also a barrier, if you let it be, is when you're in business, is depending on funding streams that are unreliable. So you just, again, I love the thrill of knowing that I'm just on the edge all the time, right? It's like, so for instance, COVID hit, right? I lost 100% of my clients. 100% of my clients called me and said, we're taking all of our training dollars and diverting them over to COVID response. Okay. I had a really good cry, laid off all my staff, had another really good cry, and then realized this was an extraordinary opportunity to completely rebrand the company, which I did. And I got a small business loan that got me through a couple years. I'm still paying on it, but thank you, small SBA, for just being like, you want money? Here you go. And it got me through, and it was fantastic. And so I was able to now be where I am today, which is even stronger and bigger and better. Isn't that a South Park movie? No, maybe not.
Something like that.
Yeah. So there's lots of barriers, but overcoming them has become kind of part of my what drives me.